And listeners, you'd better get down to your local hammer barn for all your crowbars and axes and shovels because we have got work to do. But more on that in a bit. First, intros, I guess. Frank.
You don't use the word intro in the intro.
Yeah, that's a little bit. That's bad podcasting.
Hello, this is Frank.
And now we can move straight past your slam on me.
Cool.
Martin.
Hi, Brendan. Hi, Frank.
Hello.
We're all here.
All here.
This episode of the Hammer Barn Project is called Manscaping.
And I love being here because Bluey is an excellent show. And we're going to bark it down and talk about what is possibly one of the best episodes. I don't know.
I will say this is perhaps one of our most requested episodes. There is I've mentioned it a few times. There is a Bluey Bandits dads group on Facebook I'm a proud member of, one of the admins there. And it's, I think, gained like 1,000 members in the last week. It's one of these things that's just spinning out of control. It was in the papers in the UK recently. And every time I sort of, when we publish a new episode, I put it up there because there's obviously 1,000 other people who potentially haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And here you go, and people just go, when are you going to do STUMPFEST? Do STUMPFEST next. And it's like, all right, we're finally here, boys. Let's do it.
Yeah. We have spent too long beating around the bush, or should I say, beating around the stump.
Oh,
take it away, Frank.
This episode of Bluey is called
STUMPFEST!
Marty, would you care to give us the bare stumps of this episode?
And I tell you why we have to get into it.
Yeah.
And we got to go straight to Marty.
Yeah.
I was watching it just before we started recording.
Yep.
There's so much in it. We're not going to get time for it all. So we got to get into it.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
We got to get into it.
Without any delays.
Without any delays.
Any delays whatsoever.
I can't delay you anymore, Martin.
Yeah, okay.
Please.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah,
do it.
just-
And no more delays.
Yeah.
Martin.
Do I start?
No delays.
No.
Why?
Just start.
Why haven't you started already?
Okay, all
You're
right,
delaying,
all right,
you're
okay, all right,
delaying.
Sorry. Where to start and potentially where will I end with this one? So, okay, what have we got? We've got, the contrast and conflict of masculinity and femininity being shown through this episode. We've got with the STUMPFEST versus the nail bar. We've got the global versus the local, with the patriarchal overtones of, big business coming, and also like environmental degradation and those sorts of things. We've got Chili and Trixie as potentially the political, overlookers to this scenario who are driving things from behind, but not willing to be part of the optic. No. Okay.
Oh man, I said there was a lot in it, and that was only the stuff that I'd ever noticed.
So really, what's this episode about? The boys! The boys have gone together.
Yeah, the boys.
And they're having STUMPFEST because it's more than one stump. I love the fact that that's probably the reason why it's a fest.
Yeah.
It's not just
More
one
than one.
stump.
There's literally...
It's two stumps.
And
Anyway.
one of the more common Bluey merchandise things you'll see out there that people have made themselves as opposed to being officially licensed is a band or concert t-shirt, but done up with STUMPFEST,
Brilliant.
2021 type
perfect.
thing. And there's like stump ones, front yard, backyard, like...
Googling that now.
So yes, the boys are pulling out some stumps. The kids are playing, and there's an interaction between the two when they start to overlap. Really, this episode ends up being a morality tale about the evils of verbal contracts. I think that more than anything else.
Hadn't you already finished your...
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
sorry,
what I missed.
not from me.
This episode, for all the wonderful, amazing one-liners and moments in it, probably opens with one of my favorites. The two girls, Bingo and Bluey, are playing. They're doing one of those little games.
Just the hand clapping.
Just the hand clapping
They don't
games.
waste any time with the contrast.
Oh no! And then it's and what you talk about contrast. The thing you notice the most in this episode is the music. It really goes between these little la 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 la, and then really just a hard cut to just rock and roll. It's so good, and that opening just sets you up for it. You've got the girls there playing, then the rock comes in, and the boys all walk past. We've got Bandit, we've got Uncle Stripes, we've got Pat as well. Uncle Stripe, sorry, I saw that face.
I don't want a man's best friend explain it again.
And the rock guitar comes in, STUMPFEST, and the girls are looking confused. To which then Muffin, obviously the tagger on, sort of runs past, goes, "STUMPFEST," boom, and then just face plants. And I'm like, that is almost my moment of the episode because it's just so unexpected. And you're like, but yeah, I believe that Muffin would do that.
Yeah. I love that Muffin is probably the most capable of the children of being in both worlds there. Because she's such a Stripes kid. That she just like I said a possessive apostrophe S. Do you notice the pause?
Yes.
Because I paused after saying stripe, and I'm like, I have to say stripes here because that's how grammar works.
I'm gonna get you one day.
But yeah, she does end up. I don't want to say she's a joiner, but she does end up being one of the girls, with their nail salon but she does go along with she goes along where the excitement is and where
the action is. Yeah.
I think my favorite bit of the episode has to be though, and it's in that sort of opening sequence where Bandit's explaining what STUMPFEST is when Lucky's dad, so Pat, jumps over the fence and then sort of leans by that one arm in a very sort of romantical type.
So the ladies can watch us get all sweaty. Is that right?
And the fact that he doesn't just get looked down for that line. The ladies up on the second floor are like, yeah, woo! like woo girls.
Oh man, Trixie and Chili in this episode. My gosh.
You call them political commentators before. I'd almost go for, is it Walter and Stadley from
that's
probably closer. I am a little concerned that the girls are day drinking.
I don't want a man's best friends plain, but it's Stadler and Waldorf.
Oh, it was close. You knew what I meant.
I knew what you
I should have just said the two old guys from the Muppets and don't have to say people's names because apparently I'm bad at that.
I love that. Well, we tried to turn it into a fun segment because every time somebody, including myself, gets something maybe could be wrong, I just get in my own head like, oh, how am I gonna fix that so that no keyboard warriors take us down before they've even finished the episode. You were saying, Frank?
I'm a little concerned that the whoever they are up the top, the two names I'm not going to repeat.
Stadler like the pencil and Waldorf like the salad.
How many pencils are named Stadler? What's that? Okay, moving on. I worry that they're doing a bit of day drinking, to be completely honest, and I wonder if that isn't part of their whole
It's hinted at, isn't it?
It is.
Very perfect.
I won't say that Chili is slurring her words, but there's just that extra little bit of aggression and just that is not normally known for Chili's character.
Her inhibitions are lower in this episode. I think she's. I'm going to say she's merry.
And then, and then it's like just leave the stump alone. You wanted it gone. You wanted it. Oh, yeah, that's right. She's forgotten she wanted a fish pond all of a sudden.
They're just they're in such a merry mood. It gives them complete license to be total hypocrites. They're just joining into the kids. Yeah, boo, save our stump. Save our stump. And then the moment he goes, hang on, you're the one who wanted it gone. And then I'm going to put in a, what is it?
Oh,
fish pond.
And then,
fish pond. And and then they go straight back to, take your go ruin an environment somewhere else. Like environment, it's a stump. So many good lines.
The energy of this episode, I think, is fantastic. Just with all the yelling and punching, like punching movements, and there's just some fantastic. Like, even when Stripe's coming in at the start and when I think they pull the first stump out, like holding it up as a trophy and all those sorts of things.
Now, I have to pull up on that. As someone who, before I rebuilt our house, I had a horrible old 1970s house, and there was some significant stumps out the front of this house.
Yeah,
and
you probably wouldn't be able to pick one of those.
No, you cannot. Like the hacking at it, the ripping of the roots out, the leverage they're trying to rip it up. I get all of that, perfect. But then this celebratory thing of pick it up and hold it over your head. I'm like, no, that's they're superhuman to do that.
Well, we couldn't do it, but 3 men could. There's been enough Simpsons references. There will be more, but I thought I'd throw a Seinfeld one in there for good measure.
Again, going back to the contrast between the nail salon and the lovely music you get, and to your point, Brendan, with Muffin, who sort of walks between worlds. Muffin's the girl's first customer, and have you been up to much? No.
That's
Muffin,
another brilliant moment.
Not understanding the finer points of the game.
Yeah,
and Bluey tries to continue. Like, oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting how immediate to the play that the characters of Bluey and Bingo are, because they're sisters. They live together.
Yep.
And so they can read each other's mind. And yeah, the dynamic of the cousin coming over to play is played out so perfectly accurately in every episode of this show. Whenever Muffin's in it, she's on the inside, but she's sort of that little bit on the outside. It's perfect. Chili and Trixie again. I love that, like with the sloshing drink. It happens every time, and
then they start taking photos as well.
Yeah,
when the guys
Documenting
are
the whole
getting their
thing.
makeup and stuff done. Yeah, she's got the phone out, which has a little dog symbol as opposed to another brand you might see on the back of a phone.
And like an apple?
Are you allowed to say that's copyright, Marty. You can't say that.
Sorry.
No, the fruit.
The fruit, yeah.
Can't copyright a fruit. Or maybe you can. The Apple are coming at us now. But did you know that Apple, as in the technology company, a lot of people think, and I'll check this before I choose whether to edit it out or not. Once again, my morals coming to the fore.
Good boy.
It was named after Apple Corps, or Apple Corps, the Beatles, because Steve Jobs was a big Beatles fan. There was a rumor that Alan Turing, of course, of the Turing test, portrayed in the movie, the Benedict Cumberbatch movie, The Imitation Game, grandfather of the modern computer, some may say, had a real troubled life. And this is a bit sad, if you want to skip this bit, but he took his own life by eating a poison apple. That he put cyanide on an apple. And there was a rumor that Steve Jobs named Apple after that. And somebody went up to him, and I believe this is true. Someone went up to him and asked him if that story was true. And he said, "No, it's not, but I wish it was." So that's a little...
So he wished that he'd named it after
he
a
thought that
poisoned
was...
apple?
He thought that... No, well, he thought just the history of that and the respect of that and the nod to Turing was cooler than the Beatles. And not many things are.
Yeah.
But everyone needs to know that I think the Beatles are cool.
You know what I think is pretty cool?
What?
Is
staying on task.
Yeah, that's one. But if you were to hold what looks like an oven tray, and I just started throwing ice at you, is that cool? Is that considered cool? Because that's
fun. That's playing.
I thought it was the lid of the esky.
Ah,
yeah,
good call.
that
makes sense because he's getting the ice out of the esky. Yes.
I love that at any point there's maybe like one dude doing work and the other two are mucking about.
Yeah.
It's so good.
100%.
Yeah, the contrast between the boy fun and the boy work and the nail salon. It's just like, it's so traditionally gendered. And it's just so much fun, like all the colours and everything. They couldn't have picked a more contrasting thing to do than testosterone.
I think a lot of people point to this episode and say it's a bit of a Pat and Stripe show as far as the comic relief.
I love that they get along.
Yeah.
I love that they're mates.
They're all mates.
Yeah.
I would say for mine, best in show is probably Bandit. He basically is perfectly aware of how Bluey's mind works, and he sets the stage very early saying, so this is STUMPFEST. When we're done here, we're going to come to that stuff.
My favourite.
Yeah. So you understand that means what? And he basically says the same thing.
He plays it perfectly there.
He's the perfect dad in that moment.
It comes back to bite him, but it's all on Bluey that it bites him
100%.
because she didn't listen. He did everything as a dad.
Made it very clear.
Once again, not a dad, but from what I've observed, he did everything that a dad should do there. He made it clear. He noticed that she maybe wasn't getting it, and just the animation of him just turning around. So you understand that eventually we're going to come around and do what you do it. Because it's STUMPFEST.
Because it's STUMPFEST, and that's a stump.
We were just, I wanted you to do it because we just, spoiler alert, we did watch the episode because I hadn't watched it. So these guys were doing it for my benefit. We just had a little group watch of it before we started recording. And Frank was like mouthing that bit.
I just love the detail in the bargaining. It's so sophisticated.
Oh man.
No, the optics are bad here, guys. Let's see what we can get. Okay, all right. It's gonna be nails and toes and face makeup. Okay, one face makeup.
Yeah, it's like a union. It's like a union disagreement.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, and
the boys aren't gonna like this.
This is the best we're gonna get.
And Bandit's keeps going back to the union. He keeps going. He's the rep, and he keeps going back. And
I love the shot of him just walking into the background, and they're just there. He's telling them, what? No, I'm not going to be part of it.
But no unicorns. And then 3 seconds later, cut to
a
unicorn.
And it was Pat who said no unicorns, and he's the one Don with the unicorn.
He'd be sitting there going, none of my kids are involved in this. What am I doing here?
Exactly. And he doesn't even get to show off to his lady wife, who we do eventually, because we're recording this obviously long after this episode came out. Mm-hmm. But we actually, a few episodes back, talked about that we didn't think that Pat had a significant other, but that was just coming out just as the season 3 episode. Yep. Is it Chanel or Janelle? Oh. There's competing things. Some subtitles say Janelle.
Well, it's Chanel. I mean, controversial name seems to run in the family. It was Lucky's dad. Was he called Pat?
Was he called Pat? It took us a while to realize it. Yeah.
But yes, that is definitely one of the better episodes of season 3. Is it Pass the Parcel?
I think it's in Pass the Parcel that you meet his lady.
Stop.
Well, you picked up there, Brendan, on one of the interesting things about this episode is the slightly adult overtones to this idea of showing off to your partner.
Yeah.
And just because with Lucky's dad sort of saying, hey, ladies, we're going to get sweaty. And then at
showing
the
off to the other men's partners.
Which is a little bit odd, but they seem okay with it, so that's fine.
It's obvious that I think that actually is used as a mechanic to make it clear that it's all good fun and games.
Yeah.
Straight away, because it's all they're playing up the
manliness of it.
You've got Stripe going, you like that, Trixie? It's just like, when he's going to be talking about that in the car on the way home. He's going to be like, up. Did you see this bit when I did the thing? And they're like,
it's so good. I can't find the words to describe how funny and joyous it is to watch. he's just like when it comes down to it, he just like he loves his wife, but he's just kind of see? Yeah. I don't know. I can
do it. I can do manly things too.
Just when you, I don't know if it's pretty uncool to be so blatantly, did you see that? But he's just so revved up and his adrenaline is running. He just goes full bass caveman mode. And just like, woman, did you see that? So good. And when they get the bargaining down to one face paint, another one of my favorite moments is, of course, because it was Bandit who made the negotiation. Yeah. He is the one who it's only fair that he should be the one face painting. Mm-hmm. And what do they say when the boys pick him up on it?
Hey, looking good, Bandit. Just don't.
Brilliant.
Doesn't need anything else. It's so true. Oh man.
Hey, I've got a couple little doggy treats for you.
Let's hear him.
So, as we have mentioned a few times, long dog spotting is a thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Now, this happens, he appears in the scene where Bluey has sort of been dragged away from the action by Chili. They're sitting on the porch steps, and you can see the house behind them. There's a bookcase or like one of those IKEA cube sort of cabinet things.
Oh, wow.
Right at the very top, there's a long dog just sitting there.
Oh, man.
So I'm fairly sure in that same shot there's a picture of Australia with Queensland.
That was going to be my other one.
Oh, sorry.
It's an Australia map with Queensland clearly outlined and a dot pretty much where Brisbane would be on that sort of scale map. Also, when Muffin and Bingo come back in and they're like, we're going to take the nail salon back. The ninja masks they're wearing are from another episode that we haven't covered yet. It's the I forget the
rolling it
up. No, I just going to mention the episode. But it's couldn't find a tennis ball in this episode, which given it took place largely outside, you would think would be easy, but I must have missed that one.
There's a good shot of back into, I think it's Lucky's dad's house. Sort of into their backyard. Maybe it's in there somewhere. It's very, very far in the background, but yeah.
There's so much good stuff going on, and the music and the juxtaposition of how the boys are playing and how the girls are playing. It's so clear from the start all the way through, and the music kind of cuts in whenever it's
flips backwards and forwards.
And you picked up there, Brennan, you sort of said, the way the girls are playing and the way the boys are playing. I think it's really interesting in a kids show to point out the fact that adults play.
Yeah.
And the whole that's obviously the core of the episode.
Yeah, exactly.
And just the fact that it's different, but it's still got some similar qualities that you can recognize, and whether even adults think of themselves when they're in that mode as playing or elsewise.
Yeah.
Whether they can see the comparison. So
and
just really nice.
Bluey struggling to learn that, but she succeeds in learning that because Chili's a great teacher. That is a really beautiful moment. Like when Chili she might have been, merry, shall we say, but she was still like saying, well, they're playing. They're playing, young Bluey. And Bluey says, no, they're not. It's not playing. Are you sure it's not? Another great line. I'm sure. I'm shoring my little head off. Yes. But it's a beautiful moment. She learns that, play doesn't stop. It just changes.
So as we head towards the end of this episode of the Hammer Barn Project, the other thing I just want to quickly shout out is the end of this episode of Bluey to STUMPFEST. The cheers, drink.
How could we forget?
And just a little crash zoom that comes in and all their faces go, I don't think that was lemonade, boys. I'm not sure what we're drinking here.
Or it was lemonade that kids made.
Yeah, exactly. I was almost half when you watch it again, you go, in my mind, it almost felt like one of the ending of the Warner Brothers cartoons where you get a circle and it zooms in on the character's face and then disappears.
Such a hammy button on the episode. It's so hammed up.
And of course, in the end credits, we get Bandit, in full makeup and regalia, chopping at the stump repeatedly.
Yeah, and rock and roll. It just just shameless guitar soloing. So good.
That's a lovely little animation loop. Just that last one, you get to see the quality and just the understanding of what it feels like to try and chop a log.
Yeah,
because like getting it a bit stuck, pulling it backward. No, you have to pull it out.
The physics right.
The physics is just spot on.
And not to downplay the manliness of these men, but I mean they're removing two stumps, and it's so me, I guess, and my friends to just really play up the real ruggedness of what they're doing. It's STUMPFEST. It's not just, hey, can you come around and help me take out a couple of tree stumps because my wife asked me to.
STUMPFEST! We're going to make a big deal of it!
It's perfect.
The thing of the episode that it gets washed with the sort of feminine trappings of all the and stuff like that. It gives me a viewpoint on what my life is going to be like as a parent of a girl. I'm just looking, I'm looking ahead now. You've got all the classic ads of the dad wearing the tutu with the horde of girls or whatever that might be. So I'm just interested to see what my future will be like trying to, exist in that space as well, which I think the boys really do with aplomb. In this one, they just take it. They face up to as they have to because they're in their mode. But then they just roll with it.
And that's what I love about these male characters. Like you can imagine that they wouldn't do that if the kids weren't around. They would all be, bravado. You got to stand on ceremony. You got to play the part. But the moment the kids are there, it's like the universal communicator that goes, hey, we're allowed to be silly. We're allowed to be soft. We're allowed to show emotion and feeling. And this is all for the kids. We are men who, if the kids weren't there, we wouldn't be getting our nails done. Maybe there's some outdated toxic masculine vibes that are just completely destroyed and removed by the fact that these guys love their kids. And they all know, they all see that in each other. It's a nice relationship between the three of them. And I especially love to see like Pat and Stripe together because they don't live next to each other. But to see like his brother and his neighbor kind of like playing, fighting and stuff. It's this universal guy code.
That's it. Well, that's how I hit.
It just makes me think of that episode of that in season 2 of Spaced that there was only 2 seasons of it. Excellent BBC comedy with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, directed by Edgar Wright. And it's just beautiful. And it's that one episode with the oregano in season 2 where it's just like, no, it's this universal guy code where we're going to become little boys who are playing, just on demand.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I don't know about you lads, but it's the end of the day. Hard day's work. STUMPFEST, really took it out of me, but I've had my lemonade. I'm feeling good. Who's got some more stumps? So maybe time for STUMPFEST round 2. I know. The sequel, but I'm all revved up for it now. I'll just go get some more supplies, such as those axes and crowbars and shovels, long-handed shovels, that they were wielding on this episode. I know where to get them. I'll get them down aisle 300.
Left of the fake grass.
If you hit a flamingo, you've gone too far.
Vamos!
Created and produced by Frank, Brendan and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, at HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley and Ree, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.
Nah, stump!